It is Beth Pratt here with the Wildlife Crossing Fund, and I am so excited to be here. And the beautiful, traffic is why we're here, the beautiful Eastern Sierra, one of my favorite places on earth. And we're here with a beautiful thunderstorm too. But I'm here to talk to you about a wildlife crossing on 395 near Mammoth Lakes that we have some exciting updates and announcements for. If you know me, you know I am not afraid to do big for wildlife because we have to. We are experiencing worldwide a biodiversity collapse. Wildlife is struggling everywhere we look, and it is no exception in the Sierra Nevada, especially with our mule deer herds here, with climate change, development, our roadways. We need to do better by them and all wildlife here. But you're looking at people behind me, the Eastern Sierra Wildlife Stewardship Team, who are looking at a solution and have been from some time, whether it be studying the deer migration patterns and other wildlife, looking at how to design a wildlife crossing or safe passage over this section of 395. And after years of study, we have two exciting announcements, which I'll get to. But first, I want you to meet the people on this team, or some of them, not everybody could be here, working to make this a reality. And then we'll get to the exciting announcements. I'm gonna take the camera from Nadia, thank you Nadia, and you're gonna meet some of these folks. So I will start at this end. Say hello.
Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm Alexia Williams, District 9 Deputy Director for Planning and Environmental.
Thank you for being here, Caltrans. You know, I've worked with you on many projects, excited to be working with you again on this one. And thank you for holding this beautiful visualization we'll get to in a minute. Okay, take it away.
I'm Kyle Greenhall. I've been the design manager for this project through its previous phases.
Neil Sharma with the Wildlife Conservation Network. I lead our California Wildlife Program, which is focused on conserving connectivity throughout the state.
Hi, I'm Robert Rock, Rock Design Associates. We're excited to be working with all of the folks that are here and with District 9 and all the incredible work to advance this project.
I'm Daniel Niederberger with CDFW, engineer focusing on wildlife connectivity throughout the state.
Yay!
Hi, I'm Dan Taylor. I'm the wildlife unit biologist for Inyo and Mono counties, and I've done a lot of research on the mule deer herds that will be utilizing these crossing structures.
Awesome.
Hi there, I'm Mark Drew with the Eastern Sierra Land Trust, an organization that's homegrown and was originally founded 25 years ago with at that time the principal interest to ensure safe crossing and functional corridors for species like mule deer. Talking about what we're doing today. Thank you.
Awesome. Nadia, I need you one more time. So, what we are here to talk about is we've been studying a series of crossings for some time, and the folks at Caltrans, we got an incredible grant. Where's Dawn? Dawn Crocker from the Wildlife Conservation Board is here. Let's thank the Wildlife Conservation Board. We got an incredible grant from them to do the first phase of any Caltrans project, wildlife crossing or not, which is looking at the environmental documents and 30% designed. And what we're here to tell you is that is done. We have completed that phase. We also, as part of that phase, want to thank the Donald Slavic Family Foundation and Joanne Randall for their generous donations, because that helped us with design as well, doing a design workshop here in Mammoth and using Rock Design Associates. And we're going to show you some of those visualizations. So again, the generosity of all these folks has helped us get to this phase. So let's talk about what we found. First of all, let's talk about what we're trying to do here. CDFW, tell us a little bit more about the mule deer and what they are facing.
So yeah, this area is occupied by what we know as the Round Valley herd, and they winter down to the south of here near Bishop. But this area in particular is one of the main avenues of their migratory pathways, particularly in the springtime. They'll come up and migrate along the eastern escarpment of the Sierras between there and 395, and it's very much a bottleneck until they hit this valley. And once they hit here, this is what we have identified as a large stopover site, where these deer will come here and they'll spend a lot of time in this valley as they wait for snow to melt out in the higher elevations, and then they will continue their migration from there. But with that being said, we have identified a number of deer that will maintain in the area as summer residents and continuously cross 395 during their annual movements. And it's really become a impact on that Round Valley population This section of highway has been identified as contributing to almost 33% of all roadkill in the county.
Wow.
And so it is very, it is definitely a hot spot for mule deer. And this is a very critical project to help maintain their connectivity and just, the population as it is.
What I love about this project, and I just finished a book on Yosemite wildlife, and studying the deer migration of the Sierra was wondrous. They are really incredible climbers, what they navigate every year. But we have so little historic migration routes left in California, and this is one of them, where it is one of those traditional, they're coming down from the high country, in the winter, and going back up following the food. And it's vital that we don't have a road in their way, right? And there's it's not just the deer. We've had bears killed here and a number of other wildlife as well, right?
For sure, yeah. And there's also a critically endangered or candidate species called the greater sage grouse that also have a population in this valley that will get hit on the highway as well. We're hoping these crossing structures will help benefit those species, and that's kind of the great thing about mule deer is they act as an umbrella species for all these other wildlife that occupy this habitat, this amazing habitat around us. And they utilize a lot of the same terrain that most of these other species do. So that by developing crossing structures that will help mitigate these collisions for deer, it will also help mitigate other species that we've identified in using this area, such as bears, bobcats, mountain lions. We even have Sierra Nevada red fox.
I know, that's so exciting.
Here. Yeah.
One of the rarest mammals in the country we may use this crossing. So thank you. All right, so we've been studying a long time. Let's go to Caltrans. Let's talk about what just got completed.
The environmental document and project report was completed, so that cleared us environmentally to do this project following all the proper environmental laws going forward. And we got 30% design completed for the overcrossing and the undercrossing at this location here.
And then you looked at a variety of options, but what we narrowed down was an overcrossing right there at it's either the curve, McGee Curve or Morrison Hill, whatever we want to call it, right? And then also an undercrossing. Where's that one? Oh, I love that visualization, Robert. It's so beautiful. An undercrossing at Convict Creek. Why did you pick those two? It just seemed to have the most impact of what was available for now, right?
We were studying the deer migration and the vehicle collision hits back to 2002, working with our biologists. And we identified that really as they're coming down, they're using this ridge line. So this area right here where we're standing, where these crossings are identified, is the location.
Is the location. And it's amazing what's going to happen here. So, Rock Design Associates, you put together some visualization. What excites you most about these designs? And I'm just going to show them a little bit. They're stunning, but also these are just functionally going to work in this landscape, right?
Well, I think it's one of the important things to point out is the uniqueness of this landscape.
Yeah, and look, I'm just going to pan. We are, again, Eastern Sierra. I think that's Banner and Ritter in the crowds. Look at this. If I was a deer, I'd want to live here. Actually, I do want to live here. I live on the other side, but the Eastern Sierra is my favorite place. So, but yeah, this is a unique landscape.
It's a unique landscape for a number of different reasons, but I think it's also a landscape that is very near and dear, not only to the people who live here, but the people who frequent this area. Being thoughtful about how these structures integrate into that landscape. And it's also about celebrating the unique geology of this area as well. This ancient caldera that created all these amazing landforms, everything from Convict Lake to Hot Creek to the minarets. Seeing all of this.
Look at you talking like a Californian. All right.
I went to the encyclopedia, pick some landmarks. No, but I think it's a testament to the hard work of everyone as part of this working group, and especially with District 9. Sticking through this process and getting to this point, it's no small feat. And I think that taking that next step and being able to celebrate this with this community that's here, and for people that'll pass through this space, it's about showing them what's special and continuing to support and reinforce that.
Thank you, Robert. All right, Nadia, I need you again. Oh, it's starting to rain. We might just beat the rain here. So I want to talk about what's next. And Neil, you come up with me for this one. So we are really excited here because we're through this phase. But the next phase for this project is to get it to final design and engineering. And part of the first phase was to identify the cost to that. And Caltrans has estimated, and with some other things for the project, we need about 11 million to get it to final design and engineering. That will get it to shovel ready. We already, because of Neil and the Wildlife Conservation Network, who donated or granted to the Wildlife Crossing Fund $1 million towards that. So we're going to be working really hard to get that funding to Caltrans so that they can stay on track and no pauses. At the same time, we are actually looking at how do we fund the construction costs for this, which right now are estimated at about $46.5 million for the overpass and $30.5 million for the underpass, as well as some support costs, roughly totaling about $80.9 million. It's a big number, it's a big road. These are infrastructure projects that cost money, but the Wildlife Crossing Fund is here to find private philanthropy, to look at as well as public funds that have to be spent on conservation. There is a federal Wildlife Crossings pilot program that we'll be applying to. There are funding sources, again, that we aren't taking away transportation dollars to fix bridges or to build hospitals. These are conservation dollars that we utilize for these. But we are really looking at private philanthropy as well to get this done. So this is exciting. If we all do our jobs, we could be breaking ground in 2 to 3 years. Neil, you got really excited about this project. You were at the design workshop, and obviously you and your organization have invested heavily. Thank you. What is it about this project that you love?
Well, the need is clear, and I feel fortunate that we have so much data to build upon that show us what kind of solutions are needed, why here, and why now. And one of the things that's so exciting and inspiring for me is how this work really brings people together. We have local organizations, state organizations, national, global, all coming together around this effort to get these crossings in place. I think that's really exciting, necessary to solve this issue right here. And it's also reflective of the movement that we see building in California, where this is a piece of the puzzle. It's needed here, but there are similar coalitions and efforts all throughout the state working in parallel to protect and restore connectivity that's so needed.
In fact, there's another 395 effort, let's call them out, the Wildlands Network and others, far north of here, but addressing a similar problem. So yeah, we're all working together, especially as part of an initiative we helped found, California Wildlife Reconnected, to do all these pieces of the puzzle. But this is, these will endure for generations. It is hard for me, as someone whose moral compass is wildlife, the value of doing this is obviously the value of keeping mule deer and other wildlife in the Eastern Sierra, especially these two herds, for the future. But there's also incredible economic benefits. Roadkill costs California $200 million a year. So if you're not someone who just loves wildlife, there are economic benefits to these crossings as well. But I think for the majority of Californians who vote, and they vote this way, they vote for elected representatives who say wildlife and the environment is a priority, and that's why these things get built with partnerships and with the support of the public who values our wild heritage here in California. So, this is an incredible project. Anybody else want to make a comment before we go? Mark,
I might just add that
say it.
I couldn't hear you very well, but
Come up to the, we don't have the mic.
Remember is it's not only for the deer here,
Right.
we are trying to do our best to create more harmony between humans and wildlife and biodiversity. So we're actually reducing the threats to accidents and potential human dangers, I suppose. And as we move through time, more and more, we're going to need to be paying attention to harmonizing the relationship between people and nature and doing what we can as a society to advance both.
I agree. We have to coexist or we're not going to have wildlife in the future. And Katie, can you just come up real quick? If you also want to follow along, Katie and I are planning to hike the migration route this summer to show you what these deer do. And I'll tell you, it is amazing. These deer come from the highest elevations. They are navigating ice fields. They're navigating snow. But what they can't navigate is this 395. The traffic is constant. So we're gonna fix this. This incredible team's gonna fix it. Stay tuned for updates. We'll put our website in the comments here. If you wanna get involved, please contact us and follow our hike. We'll show you what those mule deer do. All right, good job, everybody. Woo!